Yeah. Blackjack. Life is like a game of cards. It's not what you dealt, but how you play it. Yeah. Blackjack. To play each situation correctly. I remember they used to laugh at a brother.
Welcome back, guys. Welcome back. It's your boy Delray, Richardson, platinum artist, platinum songwriter, StraightGameTV. Hit the thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell notification. Thank you for tuning in. I appreciate your time. I appreciate you clicking the play button when you see me drop something. And like I said, you will not go unappreciated. And so I'm gonna jump right into it. This question comes from a young lady from Los Angeles, and she asked me, she said, did I know anything in regards to the situation involving Tupac and Treach at the Comedy Store when they had got fighting, and Tupac allegedly found out that some gang member guys were looking for him, and he put on his bulletproof vest and got his guns and went to their neighborhood.
It's like when the niggas from the 60s wanted to get a Treach. I went to them personally and talked to them. I do it by the rules of etiquette.
A lot of people have told this story before, but they unfortunately left out very key details in what was to be the truth, and the factor, the key factor, I should say, in settling that situation. So I'm going to give you two parallels, and I'm going to give you how things can go and how things went. So now I'm going to go to Vegas. You know, the situation involving Tupac with the Orlando Anderson situation. And unfortunately, a lot of times we could talk things out. You know, I don't think that there's nothing too big or too important that we can't sit down as men and talk out. But a lot of times, you know, when you're leading with your ego and your pride and all of these other things, you know, you can find yourself in a situation that you can't get out of. And so, like I said, we seen, you know, most of us seen what happened in Vegas with the Tupac situation and involving that. And like I said, there were grown men involved who could have had the conversation and say, hold on, you know, this is what this is, you know, what happened with that, and so on and so forth. But unfortunately, that's not the way that it went. And we seen that, and that was dealing with the almost same type of situation involving the situation that happened at the Comedy Store for whatever reason. You know what I mean? And we seen what happened in Vegas, unfortunately, and that led to that. But let's go to the Comedy Store. Same almost kind of situation, dealing with another set of the Crips. You know what I mean, from that perspective. And like I said, you know, LA is you know, you can't just run up on people, and you can't just run up in somebody's neighborhood like that. It's not going to be received well. You know what I mean? Respect is given where respect is given. You know what I mean? Usually. So I think a lot of times, you know, people get it messed up. So what people were running around saying with this story was like Tupac was this, fearful, gangster guy who went into, the neighborhood and, y'all looking for me. I heard y'all looking for me, and so on and so forth. And so with that, that's the story that was told. But this is what actually really happened. And it had to do with Tupac's stepdad, Mutulu Shakur, from in prison. Like I said, those prison politics and being able to reach out. A lot of times in prison, things get squashed on the street. You know what I mean? And so, and his manager, his then manager, who was also a member of the Black Panther, Mr. Watani Tahimba, basically the legendary exploit, it became the reality basically was more complicated than what people were telling. So basically, Watani Tahimba said that it was the Rolling 60 set of the Crips that Tupac had gotten in trouble with. He said, and he and Mutulu Shakur each contacted their leadership. Mr. Tahimba said he did it from the streets, and Mutulu did it from prison. And that's usually how a lot of things get squashed. and together we got it under control. Then Tupac went to the Crips neighborhood. You know what I mean? Then he went there after they were under orders not to harm him. You know what I mean? So they had already squashed the situation. It was amongst men of respect. You know what I mean? Like I said, that word a lot of times, is not used enough when we talking about men, and just respect. It's respect. It take you a long way, And so the situation regarding Tupac, his dramatic gesture to him, but said it was just machismo, and him just trying to be macho. You know what I mean? So a lot of people, once again, if you take those two parallel situations, I just wish, that the situation involving Orlando, I wish they could have talked that out. You know what I mean? Because it was allegedly over a gold chain, and like I said, if that's true, people can put other situations or incidents onto that if they want to. Like I said, a lot of times it's about pride and the lack of restraint, if you will. So, so I just wish that they could have talked it out. You know what I mean? Like they talked that situation out. And somebody actually reached out that really cared about Tupac. You see, Mutulu's in jail, but Mutulu loved Tupac. Tupac took care of him. You know what I mean? Make sure he never wanted for nothing while he's been behind bars. And I still believe that goes on today because that's Sechua's father. So, when you deal with the perspective, from that perspective, that's just love. And like I said, Mr. Tahimba, the same thing. People who really loved and cared for Tupac and was going to make sure he was all right. Now, Tupac had got out of that circle of love when he joined Death Row. Mr. Tahimba was still his manager while he was in jail, but when he came home, we know that Suge became his manager. You understand what I'm saying? So that's that thing. When you have people in your corner willing to talk for you, who care about you, who care about your well-being, and who care about black people overall, you know what I mean? Because I believe that the people that they reached out to was brothers too, and they could call home and they could say, hey, you know what? We heard about the situation involving Tupac, you know what I mean? Hey, leave that alone, and so on and so forth. And it was handled accordingly. So like I said, I just bring that to the forefront and just as a message on how we need to, like I say, sit down and sometimes talk with each other. And it ain't all about pride and bravado and being macho and all of that. You know what I mean? Like I said, yeah, your boy Delray, straight game.